What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about some of the big script changes to Scream 6. Now, there's been a ton of stuff going on Scream Twitter right now, I guess even in some YouTube videos, all these different, well, not really different versions of the script, but there's a few things floating around. Number one is this revision from the script that was written, and then they started filming like the next day or 2 days after. That's what we are talking about in this video. That's where all this stuff kind of comes from. The script that was done, and whether they just took some lines out kind of on the day, that's most of it. There's also this alternate script that'll eventually be leaking. I'll probably do a video as soon as that happens, where Sidney's in it. The original script was Sidney, and I want to quickly just talk about that just for a few quick seconds. That one's rumored that she's only in the movie for about 5 minutes, and she's in before the final act. Doesn't sound like she's actually there for like the final battle when the three ghost faces reveal themselves against Sam and Tara. Doesn't sound like she's there. Sounds like she's right before it, and she's only there for 5 minutes and then she leaves. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see what the actual role would have been. Even just kind of hearing that out loud, I'm not a huge fan whatsoever. Before I go too far, though, and we go through these individual 4 things I want to talk about, I want to give a couple thanks to the person who originally made this video talking about the script, and it seems like the Sidney one is going to leak from him. So I don't know, his name's going to be out there, and people will know him, whether he wants to, I guess, be known or not. Nate Reagan, and I hope I'm saying the last name right, but he did a video, and then Tristan, Brittany Vinyl over on Twitter, did a really, really great thread breaking all that stuff down. So just trying to give thanks where credit is due. But let's go over some of the biggest things. These aren't all the changes. I picked kind of the 4 biggest ones to me, but now you know where to look if you want to find the rest of it. So one of them that we had heard, I think, a little bit before, it's not a massive kind of revelation, but the whole, remember when we heard that the Baileys had killed their mom, right? Or I guess, Wayne Bailey, his wife. So we had heard that right after the movie, I think, came out, and then it was revealed in this little thing here that when they revealed themselves, they would, I believe, kind of give themselves like a family, a group hug, and they would reveal kind of right then and there, very early on, that they killed their mother for abandoning their family. So, again, we've heard that before. I don't think we knew exactly the context of when that would happen or specifically where, and now we do. Would this have been a big change that would have massively helped? I don't know if it would have like massively helped. I feel like you could have left it in. That's kind of a theme here with what I picked here. There's some of them that are not the biggest things in the world, and they don't take too much time up, where you could have just left it in, and it probably would only have enhanced the movie. It just would have added on like a couple extra seconds. This would have been one of them. I think it would have made them seem kind of even more crazy. I mean, like Detective Bailey himself, he is a little actually, well, okay, all 3 of them I think are very unhinged, much like most ghost faces in these films are. But I think throwing it out there that they killed their mom, or they killed, his ex-wife, that would have been a pretty big thing to, I don't know, scare us, the audience, that they mean business, scare Sam and Tara, to make them more like intimidating, right? Because some of them were not very intimidating. But that was one of the things I want to talk about. Second thing is, and right now we don't have too many specific details, but it sounds like when Sam and Gale were talking, right, and it basically became about family and the mom, and, Gale kind of being this figure over, Sam and Tara, during that time, they would have had a discussion about Sidney and the legacy of being a survivor. Now, this is one that, okay, I think could have enhanced it quite a bit. More Sidney talk would have always been good, right? But just the idea of what does it mean to be a survivor to these things. Now, we got a little bit of that with Kirby. It was more of like how she dealt with the near-death experience and how she's become stronger over it. But in a lot of ways, I think that was what this could be. So maybe it was taken out because the repetition there, right? There's too many times that kind of theme, I guess, was happening. But, again, having the Sidney part, I think, would have been cool. And that would have been an ideal time, Gale being, at this point, really, well, the ultimate, maybe even more than Sidney in terms of the stuff that she's dealt with, and now even more movies than Sidney has been. That would have been a really good time for that conversation to take place. Now, again, because of the repetition, and also you imagine the length there, right? That's not like a one-liner that you could have easily, kept in or taken out, and it wouldn't have affected like the runtime at all. That one probably would have. Maybe they think about pacing, things like that. So this one makes a little bit more sense to me, but still, and I think that's a theme. What I've noticed from all this stuff, whether it's YouTube or Twitter, when these things have started to come out of the changes and what was in the script up until that week or that day or, whatever, the response from fans that I've seen have been kind of unanimous of just put all these things kind of in the movie. I think it would have, all of them would have enhanced the thing. And I think generally agree with that. Okay, third thing is the Gale fight. So I believe it just would have kind of ended maybe a little bit differently. There would have been a lot more stabbing. They get into more specifics. So for this one, let's word for word read out Tristan's tweet. In the script, Gale is stabbed through the hand and thigh before having a brutal fight with Ghostface. Ghostface and Gale charge at each other, punching, kicking, biting, spitting blood on each other. She's then stabbed once more in the ribs with a knife. So that sounds a lot more, visceral, I suppose. I could see this one being changed, and I would say my opinion on this one is more, I would like to see it in like an alternate universe, right? Now, by the way, all of these things, seemingly, none of them were filmed, right? They were in the script. They weren't actually done. There was another thing mentioned in the director's commentary where they talked about the campus versus, Central Park finding Ghostface, right before the Gale thing, and it would have involved Chad and Mindy. It would have been a lot more like Scream 2, looking around for people on their phones, even having a van kind of reference to Randy, and they never filmed it, right? That was an idea. They said it out loud during the commentary. That was something that they downsized due to the scope and timing restraints and all that stuff. So that's important to note, is these aren't like deleted scenes. There is no alternate Gale Ghostface fight where it starts with her getting stabbed through the hand, which by the way happens a lot, I guess, in these movies, right? This is just being said. This was in the script and they changed it. I could see it because I really love, and I haven't watched the movie in a while. I'm actually going to watch it next month for the 6-month anniversary of it, but I really like the entire scene. I think the pacing of it is really, really good, and a lot of it hinges upon Gale talking, and Ghostface, right, Roger, talking so much on the phone. And if you have her get injured very, very early on, then is it more fight-oriented than talking? Because I don't think it's 50-50. It's probably more talking than it is action, but it's probably somewhat close. If you changed it in this way, she'd be injured for most of the confrontation or the scene just in general. So how would that change things? Again, I would like to see this in an alternate world, but I wouldn't know for sure. This would be one of those where I don't know if that version would be better, even though, again, it's way more, it sounds like it's more visceral. There's more stabs. She's injured more. They're spitting at each other. There's blood everywhere, but also it's I don't know, maybe that doesn't actually make it a better kind of set piece in all. And then the final one is, I left it on purpose for the final one. It's the most interesting, is a final Sidney reference. And this was one that everybody on Twitter, I think, had to get kind of their 2 cents in, right? So not only are we eventually going to get that script with a 5-minute, worth of Sidney Prescott in it, but we also know now that in the script, so again, this wasn't filmed, and this one I don't understand. I don't know if it's because they wanted, Nev or whatever ended up happening. I really don't know why you would take this out. So it's when Bailey is talking to Sam, and it's right before she starts to, insult him. It's when he talks about going to the hospital to make sure that Gale and Mindy don't make it, right? In that exact line, it's only 2 more sentences, and that's why I can't believe they took it out. It talks about after that, what would they do after, is they'd fly to Seattle to pay Sidney a visit. And I don't know if I don't believe it's in that script. I think some people were saying maybe it's more stuff about that they would go after Mark and the kids first, have Sidney watch, and then kill Sidney. I don't know if that was in the script or that's added or what the situation. Again, it's a little messy. This entire thing has been a little messy, I think, overall. I can't imagine why, they took that part out, even just the beginning part. I mean, I think there's something sinister about saying, I'm going to kill her daughters and husband while she watches and then kill her. That's, that's an extra level. Again, that's that intimidation factor, the same of having their mom be killed. And you can't even say that's too similar to each other because neither of them appeared. So maybe the point wasn't to make them too much like that. I mean, they're already kind of crazy. Maybe they didn't want to go overboard. I don't know. But even just the simple line, I think you could have fit it in, right? He talks about Gale and Mindy, and then just to kind of throw in, the audience knows, we all know, Sidney's not there. What's the idea? Well, we're going to go pay Sidney a visit. And I mean, it's such a short 1-sentence line. So now again, does that enhance the movie in any way? I think a little. I don't think I don't think it changes anybody's mind about the entire thing, and that's something you got to be careful of, right, when we make these kind of videos. I don't think it radically changes anything, but it's just a small little thing that I think would have been fun. It would have included Sidney yet, because we got, what, 2 mentions? I guess 3 when Gale says, he never got me. So 3 in all. This would have been 4. I think that would have been good. I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I don't think it would have added too much, but it was such a small thing. That's just 1 sentence, 2 sentences right after the Mindy Gale line. Why couldn't you have just said the next line? I don't know. So let me know what you guys think about these scenes in the comments. Like I said, we will do a video as soon as this alternate script, or whatever, the original script, I guess, when that leaks and comes out, I'll talk about it. We'll do a video as fast as I can. So let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed. As always, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.